The mission failed 6 years after I left the Sterling family. We ran into each other under the valet awning of an exclusive downtown club. They emerged like royalty, the center of a buzzing entourage. The man, Lucas, was sharp and confident in a tailored suit. The woman on his arm was sweet-faced and impossibly charming. I was in a fluorescent yellow vest, pulling my folded electric bike out of the trunk of a Bentley. Our eyes met, 6 of them on me. For a moment, nobody said anything. Someone in their group started to snap at me for blocking the way, but Lucas held up a hand, stopping him. He stopped walking too. Lucas Sterling looked at me, his expression a complicated mix of pity and something else. He asked if I still hated his parents for bringing him home. I shook my head calmly. Not for a long time, I said. Life's pretty good now, steady. The timer on my gig driver app was beeping. I swung my leg over the bike, ready to go, but then he locked his eyes on mine. Leo, he said, that desperate, crazy energy you used to have, that willingness to do anything to stay with the family, it seems like it's gone. I gave a half smile but didn't answer, just twisted the throttle. It wasn't gone. I was just back to being myself. I no longer had to play the part of the stupid, vicious, grasping imposter, the villain designed to make the hero shine brighter. In my rearview mirror, Lucas Sterling's figure shrank until he was just a speck. He probably felt sorry for me, a fall from grace from the penthouse to the pavement, stripped of the Sterling family name and now hustling for a few dozen bucks a night. And he was the real heir with wealth that would last lifetimes and the perfect wife by his side. He was probably thinking to himself that time really does heal all wounds. I had somehow managed to grind down the vicious, hysterical, counterfeit son, the one who'd faked DNA test results and tampered with his brake lines, into someone so ordinary, so numb. It was 1 o'clock in the morning by the time I got home. The Chicago air was biting, so I called it a night after that last ride. I pulled out my keys to unlock the door, and the light inside flickered on a second later. Grandma Martha, why are you still up? A dim yellow light filled the cramped little bungalow. Leo, you're back. It must be freezing out there. Here, take this. She had a thick cardigan wrapped around her shoulders and was holding out a heated hand warmer. Her face, a roadmap of wrinkles, crinkled as she smiled. I hung my keys on the hook by the door and took the warmer from her. Thanks, Grandma. You should get to bed. It's late. She waved it off and sat down on a nearby stool. Leo, you don't need to worry about fixing up the yard for me. This old body doesn't have many years left. You should save your money, buy a place in the city, find a nice girl to marry. That's my greatest wish. I shook my head. Fixing up the yard is my greatest wish too. She watched me with a soft smile and started recounting her day. She told me about a little girl who wanted a crocheted panda, but her father said no. Then a mom came back and bought the girl too. She told me how the market manager came by early and she almost got a citation, but the young woman at the artisanal sausage cart next to hers helped her pull her stall away just in time. And then she told me about a big sale. A man had bought a bouquet of crocheted flowers and placed a custom order for a floral blanket, paying the deposit right then and there. He said he's not in a rush. His girlfriend's birthday isn't until next month. I listened while I ate the late-night meal she'd saved for me. I'll work on the blanket. Grandma, you rest your hands. Grandma Martha has no family, no real source of income. For years, she's gotten by with her incredible skill with a crochet hook, turning small skeins of yarn into beautiful flowers and adorable animals. 5 years ago, the moment the mission failed, the system vanished. I was in the throes of the penalty for failure, a brutal punishment that felt like being torn to shreds from the inside out. I thought I was going to die. I was just lying on the ground, bleeding out, waiting for the end. That's when Grandma Martha, packing up her stall for the night, found me. She used every penny she'd saved from selling her creations to pull me back from the brink. I spent her entire life savings, but she'd just smile her crinkly smile and say, "It's only money. As long as a person is breathing, you can always earn more." I begged her to teach me how to crochet so I could help out when she got busy. After I finished eating, I cleared the dishes and helped her organize the products on her small display cart. The things she makes are beautiful, the stuffed animals are cute and lifelike, and the fluffy yarn she uses makes them irresistible. Even though her hands are old, her stitches are tight and even, her stuffing is generous, and the craftsmanship is perfect. Just as she'd said, it had been a good day. A lot of items were sold. She has a lot of repeat customers. Before I came along, people would just have to hope to find her at her usual spot. Since I've been here, I set up a WhatsApp group for her clients and created a simple Etsy shop for custom orders. People place their orders online, we make them, and I deliver them during the day. If I'm not making deliveries, I'm with Grandma at the market stall, crocheting. At night, I do gig work as a driver. While washing the dishes, I rolled up my sleeve. My forearm was a web of thick, terrifying scars. Scars like that covered almost my entire body. Grandma Martha sighed, her face full of sympathy. Such a handsome young man. How would you end up in such a mess? She murmured. Thank goodness your face was spared. It would be hard to find a wife otherwise. I smiled. It's not like I have to find a wife, Grandma. This is good enough. With that, I gently steered her back to her bedroom to get some sleep. After cleaning up, I went to my room, opened my laptop, and checked my savings. I started working the moment I was healthy enough, taking any job I could find. Grandma and I don't spend much, so over the past few years, I'd managed to save nearly $60,000. It felt good. The plan to fix the yard could finally get started. 6 years ago, I was kidnapped. After I was rescued, I came down with a serious illness. When I woke up, I had been inexplicably bound to the malicious supporting character system. Lucas' sterling objective: drive away the true heir, steal his fiancée, and win the love of his billionaire parents. The system told me that as long as I maintained the persona of a villain and took everything that belonged to Lucas, I would receive a $100 million reward. The conditions for success were Lucas leaving the Sterling family and me marrying Mia Harrison. I refused. I had grown up in the Sterling family. I'd received an excellent education, and before Lucas returned, they were raising me to be the heir. Even if I left, they would treat me well. They weren't the kind of people to cast someone out with nothing. The magnanimity of a true old money family is far greater than one might imagine. Besides, this switch-adapt birth saga wasn't my fault, nor was it my parents' fault. It was a calculated plot against the Sterling family by an outsider. My biological parents had been killed in that same plot long ago. But after I said no, the system, without another word, subjected me to electroshock punishment. It felt like a million needles were piercing my brain. Then, against my will, it seized control of my body. When Lucas was brought home, I acted like a rabid dog, attacking him, framing him, and at one point I nearly killed him by accident. I didn't want to die, but I also didn't want to be a puppet manipulated by unseen strings. Mia and I grew up together. We could have been siblings or best friends, but never husband and wife. She was in love with someone else, and I had been the one to convince her parents to let them be together. But fate is a strange thing. The man she loved turned out to be Lucas Sterling. I never thought I would turn a knife on her. At the critical moment, Lucas shielded her. I saw the shocked and heartbroken faces of my parents and Mia. My father asked, "Leo, what on earth has gotten into you?" My mother held me, sobbing, "You can't be my Leo. Give me back my son." Mia's eyes were filled with confusion. "Leo, are you in some kind of trouble?" I thought maybe it's better if I just disappear. The system's power was too strong. If I defied its commands, it would forcibly take control of my actions. I tried countless methods to break free, but nothing worked. I couldn't even choose to end my own life. I didn't understand how something like this could invade a person's brain like a virus, changing their habits, their actions, their very thoughts. My system score was perpetually negative. The missions were always failures. I was a grasshopper being roasted over a fire by the system. Every second of every day, I was a marionette playing the part of a disgusting, evil clown. Until my parents finally gave up on me. Until Lucas and Mia got engaged. The mission directive flashed in my vision in glowing red. Crash the engagement party tonight. Humiliate the true heir. Failure will result in immediate termination. I looked at the happy couple at the party and my kind, loving adoptive parents, and I suddenly felt so tired, so incredibly tired. Was I really going to be controlled by this thing for the rest of my life? No, I refused this damn system. I was going to make it disappear forever. You're in such a hurry to terminate me, I thought, communicating with the system. Is it because your own energy is limited? Host, please complete the mission immediately or face termination. I smiled. I was right. Ever since Lucas appeared, it had been frantically issuing missions, but the punishment for failure, the intensity of electric shocks, had been getting weaker each time. I thought I was building up a tolerance. Now I realized it was running out of power. While I completed a mission and got a reward, it must have received a corresponding reward as energy or something else. Mission: crash the wedding, humiliate the true heir. Failure will result in immediate termination. Warning, warning, host must complete the mission immediately. At that moment, the system tried to seize control of my body again. As if possessed, I lunged toward the couple. At the very last second, I twisted the knife and plunged it into myself. I looked at Lucas and said softly, "I truly wish you both the best." Lucas's face was a mask of shock. "Leo, you're insane." At that instant, the system's judgment flashed. Host has severely deviated from character profile, initiating level 1 punishment. An excruciating pain ripped through me. I screamed and collapsed, convulsing on the floor, foam frothing at my lips. The world dissolved into a cacophony of noise and blurry shapes. With every last ounce of strength, I scrambled up from the floor, ran straight for the ballroom window, and jumped. "Oh my God, he's lost his mind. He's psychotic. That guy is terrifying. Someone needs to get him to a psychiatric hospital before he hurts someone else." People crowded around the broken window, peering down. "Is he dead? Oh God, there's a body. Someone call the police." "No, wait, call 911. Before my eyes closed, I thought, if you're forced to stop a punishment midway, you'll suffer a backlash too, won't you? The system didn't respond. There was only a crackling static sound in my head. When I woke up again, I was in a hospital bed. My adoptive parents were sitting by my side, with Lucas and Mia standing nearby. There wasn't a trace of disgust in my parents' eyes, only pain. "Lucas told us what happened," my father said. "He saw that you turned the knife at the last second." "So, Leo, is someone threatening you?" My father called for security. "Don't be afraid. I'll have people protecting you 24/7. We won't let anyone get to you." I wanted to speak, to explain, but my tongue suddenly went numb with a jolt of electricity, and a thought that wasn't mine tried to surface in my mind. I knew it wasn't gone yet. I sent them away and tried to figure out what to do next. It had said I'd be terminated if I failed the mission, but here I was, still alive. That meant that while it could control my actions, it couldn't control my life. Or maybe it was symbiotic. It didn't want to disappear, so it used its last bit of energy to save my life. What if I just stayed away from the main characters before it could fully recover? I left the Sterling estate the day after. I left, the system reappeared. Warning, life countdown 10 o'clock minutes. Only path to survival. Return to the Sterling family. Continue unfinished missions. Otherwise, the system will forcibly detach. Host life will be in danger. I started to laugh. After fighting with it so many times, I'd seen through its empty threats. If it could detach so easily, it would have done so long ago during one of my countless failures and found a new host. Steal his parents, steal his wife, steal everything that belonged to Lucas Sterling? Steal my ass. I took a deep breath and walked purposefully toward the outskirts of the city. If I was going to die, I was going to die far away from all of them. Don't be scared. I just couldn't fight it anymore. I bit my finger and scrawled the words on my shirt so whoever found me wouldn't be frightened. I found a secluded spot, laid down on the ground, and quietly waited for this absurd life to end. The system's mission timer hit 0. Mission failed, executing termination. An indescribable force erupted from the depths of my soul, as if something inside me was trying to claw its way out. Gah! I rolled onto my side and coughed up a mouthful of blood. My skin began to split open all over my body, crimson leaking from the fissures. In the final second before my consciousness faded, I heard the system's corrupted. "This system does not want to disappear." ZZ crackle pop. I heard the sound of something shattering. Finally, I was free. By the time I pulled myself out of the past, the sun was up. Grandma Martha was already awake, getting ready to make breakfast before heading out to the market. After we ate, I went to the hardware store to pick out materials, and I hired a few contractors to help. Originally, I had planned to renovate the yard myself to save money, but my past injuries were too severe. I couldn't handle the heavy lifting. After finalizing the renovation plans with the crew, I went to find Grandma at her stall. She was set up at a local street fair. I took the yarn and hook from her hands and started working quickly and carefully on the custom rose blanket from the day before. Just then, a car pulled up in front of my stall. "No parking here. You'll have to move." I said without looking up. The car drove off. A moment later, a pair of gleaming leather shoes appeared in my line of sight. I looked up. It was Lucas Sterling. He had changed into casual clothes, but even a simple polo shirt and jeans couldn't hide his air of wealth and power. I glanced at him once, then went back to my crocheting. Gig driver, street vendor, what else do you do? Whatever pays the bills and I'm able to do, I said, my eyes still on my work. You probably never expected the once arrogant boy you knew to become like this. Leo, come work for me, be my assistant. Lucas, are you insane, or are you into me? Honestly, if it weren't for the girl at the next stall constantly shipping random celebrity couples, the thought would have never even crossed my straight-a-sanero mind. Lucas's expression flickered, my eyes widened. No way, was it actually true? Lucas let out an exasperated laugh. If it wasn't for Mom and Dad, you'd have been dead and buried 100 times over. He paused. They miss you. After you left, I didn't believe him. If they missed me, why didn't they look for me? Not that I cared, but as one of the wealthiest families in Chicago, they could find anyone if they really wanted to. Just then, a couple of customers stopped at my stall, and Grandma Martha, who had been a silent observer until now, started showing them the different items. A guy crocheting? That's so girly, one of the guys muttered to his friend, pointing at me. I was immune to it by now. After years of doing this, I'd heard it all. I kept working on the blanket. There's no shame in earning a living with your own two hands. I might not have cared, but someone else did. What's your problem? Have some class. There's nothing wrong with what he's doing. Artisans are awesome. You love lecturing people so much. You should have been a professor. The voice was familiar. I looked up. Of course, it was Mia Harrison. Back in the day when people called me emotionless, she used to defend me just like that. The customers, annoyed, walked away. She saw me looking at her and gave an awkward smile. Oh, sorry I scared away your customers, my treat. She pulled out her phone and scanned the Venmo QR code hanging on the cart. Ding. Venmo payment received, $10,000. The girl at the sausage cart next to us was floored. She was already whispering to Grandma Martha, speculating that I was some rich kid playing at being poor. $10,000 could buy my entire inventory 10 times over. That's way too much, and you don't have to pay. They might not have bought anything anyway. Mia ignored me, put her phone away, and started browsing the items on the cart. Her arm looped through Lucas's. Oh my gosh, this little dog is so cute. I want it. Wow. And this panda is adorable. I want it too. Do you have Hello Kitty? I need it. I need them all. Grandma, did you make all these? You're amazing. Can you teach me? Grandma Martha chuckled and chatted with her. Before I knew it, Mia was pulling Grandma over to the sausage cart, and the two of them were sitting on little stools eating artisanal hot dogs and talking up a storm. I glanced at Lucas. Is she always this talkative? Lucas shot me a look. Are you just figuring that out now? The two of them stayed at my stall all afternoon. Well, to be precise, Lucas and I stayed at the stalls all afternoon. I watched the crochet stall. Lucas ended up watching the sausage cart. The other three, Mia, Grandma Martha, and the sausage girl, sat on their stools eating hot dogs and chatting for hours. This was not how I expected my day to go. When it was time to pack up, Grandma and I were pushing an empty cart home. Mia hadn't actually intended to buy everything, but in the end, Lucas, seeing the longing in her eyes, had waved his hand and sent another $10,000. Hey, new bestie of my best customer, you gonna buy me out too? The sausage girl called out from her stool, munching on a hot dog. And these aren't your cheap mystery meat dogs. You know, my own secret recipe, pure handmade, no filler sausages. She seemed to be eating them more than selling them. You got it. Pack them all up, Mia declared. For real? The girl asked, not moving. Bestie, what are you waiting for? Get to work. While the sausage girl was still processing, Mia was already directing Lucas and his driver to start packing up the hot dogs. The sausage girl shot me a thumbs up. Dude, your sister is awesome. When in the world did those three talk about all afternoon? I didn't want to take their money and tried to send the extra back, but they wouldn't accept it. Mia was something else. In just a few hours, she'd completely charmed Grandma Martha, declaring herself Grandma's adopted granddaughter to make a matching set with me. The money, she insisted, was from a granddaughter to her grandmother. Grandma hadn't smiled so happily in a long time. She was still humming old songs when we got home, a joyful grin plastered on her face. Since Lucas had bought out her stock, Grandma and I had nothing to sell. We didn't go to the market the next day. Grandma crocheted at home while I worked with the contractors on the yard. There were too many bamboo stalks in the backyard. We had to cut some down, but not all of them, or Grandma would have no shade in the summer. The yard needed to be leveled. We'd pour concrete over half of it so Grandma would have a place to dry vegetables. The other half would become a small garden with a gazebo built right under the bamboo grove where she could sit and crochet. The old house would be torn down and rebuilt. The new house would have bigger windows, maybe even floor-to-ceiling ones in the living room, so Grandma would never again have to say it felt dark even in the middle of the day. The house belonged to Grandma. It was older than she was and had weathered many storms. Grandma loved lotuses, so we'd build a small pond, plant some lotus flowers, and raise a few goldfish. I didn't want Grandma to have to work at the market anymore. I'd suggested getting a small shop at the street fair, but she flat out refused. So we'd just add an extra room to the house and open her craft shop right here at home. I did a quick calculation. Remodeling the yard, building the house, and getting some new furniture and equipment would use up pretty much all the money I'd saved over the past few years. It was a lot of work, but if you do it one step at a time, eventually it gets done. This life, no persona to maintain, no script to follow, no punishments. It was just my own, and I loved it. So what if I didn't have money? A simple, quiet life was the real treasure. After several months of hard work, the yard was finally finished. The contractor was a true professional, efficient, and reliable. Grandma Martha was thrilled with the final result. "Oh, it's just wonderful, so beautiful," she said, her eyes shining. To think an old woman like me could live in such a lovely place in her lifetime. I found a piece of wood, wrote the name of our little shop on it with a calligraphy brush, and hung it by the front gate. Grandma beamed as she read the words aloud. Grandma Martha's Handmade Haven. "Do you like it, Grandma?" "I love it, I love it. And Leo, your handwriting is so beautiful." The skills I'd learned with the Sterling family had become a part of me. My manners, my habits, those things couldn't be changed. That's why my behavior had seemed so jarring to them after the system took over. I arranged the finished products Grandma had made during the renovation. We had built-in shelves during the remodel, and I had scoured Facebook Marketplace for more display units. The woodworker had also used the leftover lumber to make a few cabinets and racks. I painted them with a distressed red finish. Grandma was delighted with how the shop-room turned out. With everything displayed so nicely, the little things look even prettier. That's called presentation, Grandma. We finished setting everything up the day before Lucas and Mia arrived today. They didn't come alone. The sausage girl was with them, followed by several large men in black suits and sunglasses. It looked like they were here to cause trouble. Mia waved her hand dramatically. "All right, team, let's get to work." "Yes, ma'am," they answered in unison. Then they all marched over to a large moving truck parked on the street. I watched, stunned, as the bodyguards started carrying furniture into the yard. Mia and the sausage girl directed the placement while Lucas and I stood to the side. I nudged Lucas with my foot. "What's all this?" Lucas, not wanting to be outdone, kicked me back lightly. "Isn't it obvious?" I was confused. "Is it?" Lucas tilted his nose up at me and huffed. "A gift for Grandma." It seemed the bored billionaire's wife wanted to come play house with us common folk. As soon as the furniture was in place, Mia made a beeline for the new gazebo and plopped down in the lounge chair. Hey, hey, I said. "I made that chair for Grandma." Mia looked at Grandma Martha, her face a mask of playful sorrow. "Grandma, can I sit here?" Grandma chuckled. "Of course you can." The sausage girl grabbed a skewer of chocolate-covered strawberries from the table and popped one in her mouth. Hey, I protested. "Don't eat all of those." I picked out the biggest, sweetest strawberries especially for Grandma. The sausage girl turned to Grandma Martha, pouting. "Grandma, can I have one?" Grandma smiled. "Of course you can." Lucas was looking around the new craft room and accidentally knocked a small knitted bear off a shelf. "Hey, watch where you're going," I warned. "Don't get things dirty on the floor. Knitting takes a lot of time." Lucas, taking his cue, looked at Grandma with a wounded expression. "Grandma, can I look around the shop?" Grandma beamed. "Of course you can, all of you," she said, looking at the three of them. "Just treat this place like your own home. Sit where you want, eat what you want, look at whatever you want." This was not how this was supposed to go. All I wanted was a quiet, stable life. What if getting tangled up with these people brought another one of those systems into my life? They were all laughing and having a great time. It was just me and my bruised feelings. Mia's eyes twinkled. Grandma, can we stay over whenever we want to? Grandma answered instinctively. Of course you can. I pointed to the rooms in the house. Grandma, we don't have enough bedrooms. Mia replied with a perfectly straight face. You and Lucas can sleep on the living room floor. Me and Lucas? I didn't want Grandma Martha to have to go out to the market anymore, but our house was a bit out of the way. Even though a main road was right out front, people didn't usually come through here. So I decided to start live streaming. I made a list of the equipment I'd need and went hunting on Facebook Marketplace. The gear wasn't a consumable item, so buying secondhand was much more cost-effective. This way, I could save a good chunk of money. While I was no marketing genius, I was more than capable of providing a comfortable life for Grandma and me. The reason I hadn't sought a corporate job was a desire to stay away from that world. Ever since Grandma taught me how to crochet and knit, I had fallen in love with it. There was something magical about turning a simple ball of yarn into all sorts of interesting things. Maybe it was the process that it slowly healed me, bringing a sense of peace to my soul. The transition from a wealthy heir to a fake son wasn't something you get over in a day. To be honest, when the system first appeared, I was tempted, but what would have happened even if I had succeeded? Mia and Lucas were truly in love. Forcing myself between them would have been a moral failing I couldn't live with. And my adoptive parents' love, I never had to steal that. They had always treated me with genuine affection. Once I understood that, I realized how absurd the system's missions were. They had no logic. It was just an unknown entity from an unknown place. Buying the equipment was a hassle. It wasn't like buying new where you just click a button and it shows up at your door. I had to hunt for each item, testing my luck. Finding good secondhand deals required patience. When Mia found out, she offered to help. I turned her down. Not long after, construction started on a house next door. The sausage girl was there, sleeves rolled up, directing the workers. One of the contractors saw me and waved. Hey, Mr. Reed. So they just hired the same crew I used. What are you guys doing over there? I asked. Mia ignored me. She was still giving me the silent treatment for refusing her help. The sausage girl handed me a hot dog. Mia Bear bought the place. We're opening up shops here too. Mia Bear? I took a bite of the hot dog. It was juicy and packed with flavor. What kind of shops? The sausage girl pointed at Mia. My bestie is opening a boba tea shop. Then she pointed at herself. And I'm opening a hot dog stand. I frowned. There's no foot traffic here. Where are you going to sell to? Your customers, obviously, she said, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. I wiped my mouth and tossed the skewer in the trash. My customers? I'm doing live streams. I won't have any in-person customers. That finally got Mia to talk to me. She brandished her phone. This fairy has her ways. I've already built up our Instagram account. I, my friend, am an influencer with over 1 million followers. I took her phone. There were several posts about Grandma Martha's handmade haven, including videos of Grandma crocheting. The photo and video quality was professional. I was shocked. When did you shoot this? Who shot this? This level of professional photography and editing was definitely not Mia's work. Her previous posts were completely different, mostly selfies from various angles. I figured her followers were mostly there for her looks. Mia snatched her phone back, looking smug. When you weren't around, my bestie took the pictures. The two of them calling each other bestie. If I didn't know Mia, I'd think they'd been friends for years. The friendships between women were a strange and wondrous thing. 8. I delivered the finished floral blanket to the client. He loved it and said he'd be back for more. I thanked him sincerely for appreciating our craft. The renovations next door were moving along at a rapid pace. I was busy setting up my live streaming business. Grandma Martha was visibly happier. It wasn't that she was unhappy before, but there had always been a hint of melancholy about her. Now that was gone. She adored the gazebo I built for her and would spend most of the day there, sitting in her lounger with her reading glasses, a hook, and a ball of yarn. Mia often sat with her, making sure she didn't sit for too long and taking her for walks at regular intervals. A few weeks later, the sales from my live stream had stabilized. My days fell into a stream: sell, pack, and ship. The construction next door was almost done. They picked a lucky day, the following Saturday, for their grand opening. Early Saturday morning, I opened our gate and was stunned by the line of cars parked along the street. Our quiet country road looked like it was experiencing rush hour traffic. It's open, it's open. This is that magical little house from the videos. Is that the grandma? She looks so kind. And that must be the super talented crochet guy. Wow, he looks even more mysterious in person and so handsome. A crowd of young people holding up their phones surged forward. I instinctively stood in front of Grandma Martha, worried the scene might startle her, but she was calmer than I was. She smiled and smoothed down her sweater. We have guests. Come in, come in. There's tea in the yard. That day, a steady stream of visitors flowed through our little yard. The inventory Grandma and I had built up was completely sold out by noon. People were even placing pre-orders for the following month. The businesses next door were also slammed. The sausage girl, whose name I learned was Sophia, was slinging hot dogs so fast her tongs were practically smoking. Mia, the billionaire's daughter, was in an apron, a frantic but happy mess in her boba shop. She kept mixing up salt and sugar, but customers just found her clumsy charm endearing. Lucas was running drinks to customers and acting as a makeshift photographer for people wanting to take pictures for their social media. But with crowds come chaos. Someone tried to wander into the private part of the house, and others started complaining loudly about the long wait. For a moment, things felt like they were about to get out of control. Just as I was about to close the gates, Lucas stepped up. He was still in his casual clothes, but when he stood in the middle of the yard, the natural authority he possessed instantly silenced the noisy crowd. Single file line, we're limiting entry. Keep your voices down. Exit on the left, entrance on the right. Anyone who disturbs the elderly resident will be asked to leave immediately. I had to admit, a CEO's commanding presence was more effective at crowd control than a security guard. He even produced a megaphone from somewhere and started directing his bodyguards, who were now acting as event security. After a hectic day, quiet finally returned to the yard. We were all exhausted. Mia was slumped over the stone table, all decorum gone. Sophia was counting a massive wad of cash. Grandma Martha was happily taking stock of the empty shelves. Lucas handed me a bottle of water and sat down on the steps next to me. Thanks, I said, taking a sip. My treat. Lucas stared up at the night sky and said, seemingly out of nowhere, "You know, 5 years ago, I knew you didn't tamper with the brakes." I froze for a second, then turned to look at him. He met my gaze, his eyes clear. "Your method was too clumsy. It was almost like you did it on purpose to get caught. But I was so angry back then," he continued. "Angry that you had taken my life. Angry that you were trying to destroy everything I had left. It wasn't until later, when Mom and Dad were reviewing the security footage, that they saw it. Right before you did it, you looked straight at the camera and mouthed something. I fell silent. That day, I had mouthed 3 words to the camera. I am sorry. Leo." Lucas's voice was low. "Can you tell me what really happened now?" I smiled, crushed the empty water bottle in my hand, and tossed it into the recycling bin. "It's all in the past. The Leo of today," I said, "is doing just fine." 9. Since the online promotion was a success and the live stream was going well, I went to the local disability services office. I presented them with my proposal. I wanted to gather all the people with disabilities in the area who were interested in learning crochet. Grandma Martha would teach them a craft. Once they learned, their finished products would be sold on our live stream. After deducting the cost of materials, they would receive the full profit. The director was very supportive and immediately called a meeting to discuss the plan. There was a lot of interest, but we had to select participants, excluding those whose disabilities, like being blind or having no arms, would prevent them from doing the work. Grandma Martha was in charge of teaching, and I continued my daily live streams. Even though we didn't have products to sell, the online community loved watching Grandma's daily life. My streams had no loud background music. Number 3, 2, 1, link in bio countdowns. The camera was just focused on my hands or a side view of Grandma under the warm yellow light. The crochet hook would dance in my fingers, and yarn would slowly transform into vivid flowers, small animals, storage boxes, blankets. Or it would just be a simple shot of Grandma handing me scissors, or me pouring her a cup of tea. Occasionally, Mia would wander into the frame, holding up a new boba tea creation for an impromptu sales pitch, or Sophia would bring over a freshly grilled sausage, the sizzling sound making the online audience's mouths water. This slow-paced live stream unexpectedly went viral. The comments were often things like, "Watching Leo and Grandma Martha crochet has cured my anxiety." Of course, some sharp-eyed viewers noticed the scars on my arms. What happened to the host's arms? It looks so painful. He must have a story to tell. I never tried to hide them. I just explained that they were old injuries that didn't hurt anymore. Just out of the camera's view, the disabled men and women were learning diligently. They were never shown on screen, and I never mentioned them or that the products were made by them. I didn't want to exploit their stories or morally obligate our customers to buy. I even asked the people who visited our shop in person not to talk about it online. I could see the surprise and respect in their eyes, but I didn't think it was a big deal. I just happened to be in a position to help them do something productive. And really, it was the support of all these strangers on the internet that made it possible for them to be here learning a new skill. Everyone deserves the chance to earn a living. It's not that they don't want to work, but that many jobs aren't suited for them. Later, the program expanded. Mia and Sophia put the word out to all the stay-at-home moms in the area. The response was overwhelming. Some were worried about childcare, but the two girls waved their hands and said, "Leave the kids to us." And what happened next? Lucas Sterling's bodyguards became part-time nannies. Life went on, simple and fulfilling, until a month later when a long black sedan once again pulled up in front of our gate. I knew the license plate. It had driven me to and from school for over a decade. Lucas and Mia were clearly expecting them. They stood at the gate looking at me with a hint of nervousness. The car door opened, and a well-dressed middle-aged couple stepped out. My adoptive parents. I hadn't seen them in 5 years. My father had more gray at his temples, and my mother had new lines around her eyes. They stood at the gate, looking at the sign that read Grandma Martha's Handmade Haven, then at me, dressed in a casual hoodie and holding a crochet hook. They looked a little uncertain. "Leo," my mother called out. Her voice choked with emotion as tears welled up in her eyes. I put down my work, stood up, and walked toward them. "Mom, Dad, come on in." The words didn't feel strange on my tongue. After all, 20-some years of raising me wasn't a lie. My mother rushed forward and hugged me tightly, sobbing. Her hand brushed against the raised scars on my arm, and her cries grew louder. "Does it hurt? Oh, my boy, you've suffered so much. My Leo, you're finally back." Yes, I was finally back. My father stood beside us, his eyes red. He clapped my shoulder, 1,000 words condensed into a single sigh. "It's good that you're back. It's good that you're alive." Grandma Martha came out of the house. She didn't seem surprised by the scene. She just walked over with a gentle smile and took my mother's hand. Now, don't cry, dear. Leo is a capable young man now, a real stand-up guy. He's your son, and he's my grandson. We're all family here." My mother held Grandma's hand as comfortably as if they'd known each other forever. "Mom, I brought you a gift." "Mom, if Grandma treats you like a real grandson, then of course I can call her Mom," she explained. Lucas saw my confusion and hesitated before saying, "Mom and Dad, they've always known." "Known what?" My bewilderment must have been written all over my face. Lucas sighed. "You're the child they raised. How could they not know your character? From the moment you left the estate, they've known where you were. They just figured you had your reasons, and they were willing to wait as long as it took for you to come back." In that moment, everything clicked. My eyes stung, and a lump formed in my throat. Of course that's how Grandma Martha was able to find me so quickly. That's how she was able to get me to a hospital in time. With injuries as severe as mine, how could her meager earnings from selling crocheted animals have possibly covered the medical bills? That night, we set up a large round table in the yard. Lucas, Mia, Sophia, my parents, Grandma Martha, and me. The table was laden with food, some catered from a 5-star restaurant, some of Sophia's grilled sausages, and a big pot of Grandma's signature pot roast. We sat together with no talk of high society rules, no awkwardness between the real son and the fake one. Mia had a little too much to drink and was shadowboxing with the Heir. My father was lecturing Lucas for not being a better older brother, and for once Lucas didn't argue back, just nodded while piling food onto my plate. My mother was laughing and chatting happily with Grandma. I looked at this scene, and the empty place that had been in my heart for so long finally felt full. So this is what it felt like to be loved all along. Sophia raised her glass to mine, her cheeks flushed. "Leo," she said, slightly tipsy, "do you even know my name?" I paused. "You guess?" She really didn't. Sophia pouted. I knew it. You just keep calling me the sausage girl. Listen up, my name is Sophia Diaz. Well, now I knew. But that just raised another question. How did she know I'd been calling her the sausage girl in my head? 10. Winter came again. The fireplace in the house was lit, making the whole room warm and cozy. No other systems ever appeared. My life was real, and it was good. I sat on the rug in front of the floor-to-ceiling window, knitting a gray scarf. Grandma Martha was in a rocking chair, a patchwork blanket on her lap, listening to an old opera with her eyes closed. Leo, is my scarf done yet? The temperature's dropping tomorrow. Lucas pushed the door open, bringing a gust of cold air with him. He was coming over more and more frequently, sometimes on his way back from a meeting, sometimes just to freeload a meal. What's the rush? Good things take time. I didn't look up, my hands never stopping. And don't forget the pom-pom on Mia's hat. She tagged you in the group chat like 800 times last night. I know. I had a smile. Who would have thought that the two heirs, the real and the fake, who once fought tooth and nail over the family fortune, could now get along so peacefully? During this time, my parents had hinted more than once that they wanted Grandma and me to move back to the Sterling estate, but I liked our life now and politely declined. Grandma loved her little haven, and I wanted to stay with her. They understood, but just like Lucas, they started visiting more often. I was now Leo Reed, the well-known craft blogger and proprietor of Grandma Martha's Handmade Haven. The skills program I started for people with disabilities was also going incredibly well, and the group of artisans was growing. I still only deducted the cost of materials and platform fees from each sale. For items sold in person at our shop, the artisan received 100% of the price. Later, I started bringing in instructors for other heritage crafts, allowing the moms and disabled artisans to learn and monetize other traditional skills. The Sterling Corporation would occasionally place large orders for high-end corporate gifts. The pricing was fair, no family discounts needed. My parents also promoted my work in their social circles with a clear sense of pride. My son made this. Isn't he amazing? Lucas sat across from me, casually tossing a ball of yarn in the air. I bought that gig driving company. You don't have to go out and take rides anymore. I set you up with a premium VIP account. You only have to take a job if you feel like it. I roll my eyes at him. I don't have time to take rides anymore anyway. My order queue was backed up into next year. I had no time to be out in the cold. Leo, what do you think about starting a fiber arts company? My hands paused for a fraction of a second. I grabbed a ball of yarn and chucked it at him. Do you think I have 8 pairs of hands? Get out. Why not? Sophia said, walking in with a plate of sausages. I think it's a great idea. We could bring together everyone who loves handmade crafts. We could focus on heritage arts, create textile art, sell internationally. I want in. You get out too. I threw another ball of yarn at Sophia. They both yelled in unison, Grandma, Leo's bullying me. Grandma Martha appeared. I'll stick up for you. Sophia took Grandma's hand and led her toward the gazebo. Okay, Grandma, you're making pot roast tonight, and Leo doesn't get a single piece. Their voices faded as they walked away. I looked up and out the window. The plum blossoms in the yard were in full bloom, their bright red petals a stark, beautiful contrast against the white snow. From next door, I could hear Mia and a group of kids shrieking with laughter as they had a snowball fight. The cat Grandma had adopted was purring at my feet. I smiled and tossed the finished scarf to Lucas. Take it and get lost. 3 meals a day for changing seasons, a quiet, simple life. This was the life I wanted. Money was just something to get by on. Lucas caught the scarf and wrapped it clumsily around his neck. The knot was terrible, but he looked pleased. Come on, let's go build a snowman. Mia says she wants to build one bigger than that panda you made. Coming. I put down my yarn and needles and walked toward the door. I pushed it open, and the crisp cold air hit my face. The wind was chilly, but the sun was shining. The end. Extra, Sophia. This is an extra, but it's also not. My name is Sophia Diaz. My story is a long one, so we'll save it for next time.